Hello everyone, this is Shrevin from Ultrawide, the channel focusing on the implementation of ultra-wide resolutions in video games. Today we're looking at Batman Arkham City Game of the Year Edition. This game was developed by Rocksteady Studios and was released in 2011 using Unreal Engine 3. As you can see from the main menu, the game already presents us with black bars on the side, and I'll say it right now, the ultra-wide implementation in this game is rather disappointing. If you've seen my previous video covering Arkham Asylum, this game's prequel, you'll understand what I mean. But first, let's rewind to setting up this game. Before you even start up Batman Arkham City, you'll have to set your ultra-wide monitor as your primary monitor, otherwise the game will not launch in full screen on the ultra-wide monitor, nor will it give you the option to select ultra-wide resolutions in the settings. Of course, this isn't a problem if your ultra-wide monitor is your only monitor, but in my case, my ultra-wide monitor is generally my secondary monitor, so I had to switch it to my primary monitor for this particular game. When you start up Batman Arkham City, in this case from Steam, you're given the option to configure PC options. While this may seem innocent enough at first glance, there are a couple issues that arise. The first issue is that the options presented in this launcher are not in-game, which means if you want to change any of these options once in-game, even something as simple as resolution, you'll have to exit the game, which means you'll have to restart the game. Also, out of the box, this game is locked to 62 frames per second. To unlock this framerate, you'll need to jump through a few steps. You'll need to modify the bmengine.ini file and the userengine.ini file with your desired frame rates, or you can use the Arkham City Advanced Launcher. This information was obtained from the PC Gaming Wiki, an excellent resource, so I'll have their Arkham City page linked in the description. For the purpose of this video, since I am trying to showcase the game as, quote, out of the box as possible, I won't be using the Advanced Launcher or any mods, but I will be editing the frame cap in the INI files. Continuing within the launcher, you'll notice in the resolution menu that my 21:9 resolutions are showing up, such as 3440x1440 and 2560x1080. As I mentioned before, these resolutions would not be showing up if my ultra-wide monitor was not set up as my primary monitor. In terms of a settings menu, there are 4 things I look for. One is a monitor selector. If you're running a multi-monitor setup, some games allow you to pick which monitor you want to display the game on. This menu does not have such an option. Number 2 is an aspect ratio selector. That is the option to run the game at either 16:9 aspect ratio or 21:9 aspect ratio, even if your monitor is a 21:9 aspect ratio monitor. This option isn't explicitly present here. As you can see, we have a 3440x1440 resolution, which is 21:9, and if we cycle through these resolutions, we can see another ultra-wide resolution, and then we finally get to our 16:9 resolutions, such as 1920x1080 or 1680x720. So the option is technically there, but it's not explicitly a configurable option. It has to be done through the resolution rather than as a standalone option. Number 3 is a resolution selector that includes both 21:9 and 16:9 resolutions, which this game does have, though with the aforementioned caveat that your ultrawide is your primary monitor. And number 4 is a UI position option, where the user can choose to position the UI at the edge or near the center of the screen. Such an option allows ultrawide users to not have to move their eyes all across the screen for certain UI elements. This is a relatively newer option, so I don't fault Arkham City for not having it, but I put the criteria here to indicate to you that this is something I do look for in games. So generally, Arkham City has one, maybe 2 of these options. Once we're actually in-game, we can notice a few oddities with the UI. First and foremost is the obvious pillarboxing in the main menu, and unfortunately, this is more the norm rather than the exception. Throughout various parts of gameplay, the game often unpredictably introduces left and right black bars in some cutscenes, despite the game running in real time. For example, at the very beginning of the game, the scene where Catwoman unlocks the safe is in the full monitor resolution. Here it is running at the full 3440x1440 resolution.
Will you, Harv? I don't think so.
And again at a full 6000 by 1440 resolution.
and get one over on me, will you, Harv? I don't think so.
However, other scenes that occur minutes later, such as when Bruce meets Hugo Strange, or when Bruce suits up as Batman, run in the 16:9 aspect ratio with black bars on the sides. The most immersion-breaking instances, however, are when Batman performs a finishing takedown in combat or encounter. For whatever reason, these takedowns are transitioned to a 16:9 format every single time. To be clear, I am completely fine with pre-rendered cutscenes running with black bars on the side. In fact, I generally expect nothing different. My issue arises when real-time cutscenes or gameplay become limited to 16:9 for inexplicably no reason and in an inconsistent and unpredictable nature. The player shouldn't have to worry about whether or not the next cutscene will run at the full resolution, because at that point they've already lost their immersion within the game. Soapbox aside, when any of these 16:9 shots are completed, the game sometimes cuts to a full resolution shot, or sometimes it gradually expands the scene to the full resolution.
Now that they're all taken care of.
I mentioned the resolution of 6000 by 1440. I was able to generate this resolution by using AMD's iFinity tool to combine my 16:9 and 21:9 1440p displays into one giant approximate 37:9 display. Consequently, I can choose to render the game at a very long 6000 by 1440 if I so choose. For better or for worse, the black bars that were observed when running at 3440 by 1440 are observed here as well, so at least the game is consistent. However, in my eyes, 6000 by 1440 is such a comically large resolution for a game such as this that it might not be a reasonable resolution to play the entire game in.
I need to find Catwoman now. Look out! It's Batman! Fight! Over here!
Nonetheless, I measured performance between different resolutions in this game. My computer is decidedly mid-range for 2023, consisting of a Ryzen 9 3900X, a Radeon RX 6700 XT, a 1TB NVMe PCIe Gen 3 drive, and 32GB of DDR4 RAM at 3200 MHz. I chose the Joker's Carnival Challenge Mode map as my benchmark, going through its entirety 3 times and averaging the results to produce the graph you see here. Normally, the intention of this graph is to showcase the performance differential between a 16:9 resolution and a 21:9 resolution. In a more modern game, this differential would be more pronounced, but in Arkham City, frame rates still stay quite high. Nonetheless, when we compare the results between 2560 by 1440 and 3440 by 1440, we see a 16% performance drop in average frame rates. However, when we compare 2560 by 1080 to 1920 by 1080, we see a slight increase in average frame rates, though this could be explained by margin of error. When we compare 6000 by 1440 to 2560 by 1440, we see a 62% drop in average frame rates, though frame rates were still very playable in this configuration. Finally, when we compare the 4360 by 1044 results to the 1920 by 1080 results, we see a 32% drop in average frame rates. So how is Batman Arkham City's ultrawide implementation as a whole? Generally, when I play video games in ultrawide, I do so because of the increased immersion and increased horizontal viewing distance in the game. When I go to objectively judge Arkham City's ultrawide implementation, I look at the metrics you see in the table. The options menu is decidedly lackluster, with no explicit options for selecting your monitor or aspect ratio. However, generally you set the options once and never look at them again. Unfortunately, due to the intrusive and unpredictable nature of the black bars within Arkham City, I have to rule Arkham City's ultrawide implementation to be simply okay. With that said, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If this video was informative to you, please hit the like button and subscribe to see more content like this. Additionally, please comment with other aspects of ultrawide games that you would like to see covered. My testing process is evolving and I am very much open to feedback. This is Shrevin from Ultrawide, and I'll see you in the next one.